Hey guys, how's it going? It is early in the morning. I'm getting up early. I'm going to try and get my Harley Twin Cam 88 put back together. Let's go to the shop. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is file the rings. I just put the camera on and let it run. And the rule of thumb here is 4.5 thou per inch of bore. So I got about almost a 4-inch bore. So I want about an 18 thou gap on the top ring. Second ring is about 20 to 21 thou. And then the oil rings minimum gap is 15 thou. Let's jump right in. Okay guys, I won't bore you with all the details, but this part is tedious. If you don't have a lot of free time, don't pick that day to do your piston rings. Basically it involves taking your ring, putting it in the bore, and then measuring your ring gap. I use the piston to push the bore down symmetrically, measure your gap, and then put it in your ring filer and file it, and rinse and repeat. This took me about a couple hours to file all my rings and get everything to fit nice. Okay, now that we have the rings filed, I have installed them on the pistons. They're clocked correctly as per JE Pistons install, like this, as per the JD instructions. Front, okay, and this should be just fine. Okay, now I have washed, wiped, cleaned, scrubbed everything. I gave the cylinders a bath in my ultrasonic, same one I use for chainsaw parts. Let's see if we can get this together. I don't know if this bike's gonna run today. Okay, I got a little bit of assembly lube here on my wrist pin. Okay, and we're gonna put a little bit here. Okay. I can't wait to get this thing back together. This has been a long time in the making. I've had this thing apart all winter. Okay, I already have the wrist pin installed. And again, I've clocked it as per JE's instructions. Okay, now these are a very precise fit. Okay, they only fit one way. Okay, let's take this. Notice I have rubber hoses on the cylinder studs. That keeps you from damaging anything. Okay, this pushes in there real nicely. Now I'm just going to leave it. Now the fun part. Let's not fling this wrist pin across the shop. Let's also not drop it into the bottom end. If I drop this into the bottom end, guess what? This motor has to come out and probably pulled apart to get it out. It happens to people. I'm going to be very, very careful. Okay, well, we'll try and do this. See, I just dropped that and I haven't even tried yet. Okay, this is more of a two-man job, but me being out here in the boonies and alone, not really anybody to help me. So I'm gonna just try and see if I can get this together. I did the rear cylinder already. That one's more difficult because the frame's kind of in the way. I want to get as much of this as I can done today, and then I'm going to jump back into some chainsaw work. But this thing's taking up a lot of space, a lot of parts strewn all over my shop. Okay, friends, can I actually... Okay, get that clipped into there. So just to put the openings at 90 degrees from the opening here, the little tab. So that's what I'm doing. I don't think I'd be able to get these in. I didn't have this much problem with the last one. Let's try it this way then. These are heavy duty compared to what we normally play with. And they do make a tool for this. I don't have one. There we go. Once they go in, it's not too bad. Whew. Okay. I've already put a new O-ring on this dowel here. Okay. Now I'm going to oil up and clean the front cylinder. Okay guys, and look, my cylinders went in the ultrasonic, but look, okay, I'm spraying it with parts cleaner and I'm wiping them out. I will wipe them out until it comes out clean. Okay, I'm going to do another rag and see what it looks like. There's the next rag. That's the bottom of the cylinder is a little dirty. Okay, and one more should do it. Just keep doing that. Every motor I build, whether it be 2-stroke or 4-stroke, I clean the cylinders until there's nothing in there. That is microscopic dirt and debris and filings. That will wear your pistons a little quicker. This is how you make an engine last a little bit longer or last way longer, depending on how dirty it is. Okay, and here's my last one. Okay, perfectly clean. Nothing on it. That's what you want. Like I said, it's all these little details. This project's taken me a while, and there's a reason for that. I have literally blueprinted this motor, or the top half of it. I have spec'd, measured every inch of this motor so that every part is within tolerance. Okay, so I don't want to do this again for a long time. I do enjoy this kind of work, but I enjoy riding more. I spend a lot of time wrenching in the shop, and the guy needs to ride sometimes. So, okay, now we'll get the ring compressor. I will put oil on my piston, my rings, and my cylinder, and we will try and get this together. There's also an O-ring. These have O-rings at the base of the cylinders. I am not going to glue these down because I found out why they were leaking, and they're leaking because my rings were so worn out. The compression was going by and overpressurizing the case. Okay, first thing I'm going to do, lots of oil. Some guys use assembly lube. I like to use oil. I feel like the piston should break in with the oil that it's using. Again, we don't know. We don't know who's right and who's wrong. Every piston or every manufacturer and every engine builder does something a little bit different. You do you. Okay, so there's that done. Now I'm going to oil up the cylinder. Okay, and there's also this 4-inch seal. That's actually what seals the base of the cylinders. That was a huge upgrade on these versus the Evos. Okay, now this is the hardest part. I definitely had the most issues with this last time. This is where you need 2 people, but I'm going to do it with 1 because that's what we do here. Okay, so I've verified that my rings are clocked correctly. By clocked, I mean where the gaps are. My oil ring gaps are here and here based on the specs. My bottom ring gap is center and my top ring gap is center, 180 degrees apart. Okay, now I'm going to take this. This is the hardest part, friends. I may cut some of this out. Okay. Try not to block you guys here. This is the type of ring compressor you need to do this. Well, you can use a different kind. I used to use just the collar type, and I would put the rings on the cylinders or on the pistons, and then I would install them in the cylinders, and then I would put the wrist pin on after, but I'm not going to do that in this case. Okay, Reds, you guys get the idea. This thing's really fighting me. Just give me a second here. Okay, I got that more or less situated on there. Okay, now we'll see. The whole idea is I got to do this one-handed because, well, there's only one of me. Okay, we're going to squeeze that in there like that. Just going to leave it. Okay, now I'll grab my cylinder that is oiled with the O-ring there. Okay, and I'm going to put it down on the bench, sitting here so that it's ready, and I'll grab it with my left hand. Okay, now we grab this. And these just hook into the ends of the ring compressor. So make sure it's just below the top of the piston. Okay, now we're going to grab this. Line it up with the cylinder studs. There we go, I got it. That was close. I'm going to back this up. Oh. See if I can get this up there. There we go. See, and then these just come like this. You gotta kind of work it back around here. Okay, just like that. And I'll stick my hand under here. Okay, there we go. Just like that, friends. That's all she's done. Okay, now there's a couple of dowel pins. Just want to get the heads on today, basically. I still have to soak my lifters and all that, but just want to get something done. It's pouring rain. I was actually going to run saws today, and it's pouring rain out, so I decided today's the day. Let's get this motor put back together. I'm tired of looking at it, to tell you the truth. Let's put this way. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, now I'll put the head gaskets on. A lot of reading involved in this. I've been out of the game a long time. There's supposed to be O-rings here and here, and I noticed there's no room for them. So that tells me, or I did a bunch of reading, and that actually the newer head gaskets fit tightly around these studs here. Okay, and then you don't need the O-rings anymore. Apparently it's an upgrade. Yeah. Typically there's writing. Writing face is up on head gaskets. Let's see, where are we at here? And then here. Anyways, this is what I'm reading. No gasket there. I was trying to figure out, how do I put this head gasket down and leave room for the gaskets. Torque these in 3 stages, 108 inch-pounds to 168 inch-pounds, and then torque them all 90 degrees. Okay, cylinder head number 1. Cylinder head number 1. And take these. These have been cleaned out. It says to oil the inner threads and the mating surface, so I'll do that. These long ones go in here on the inside. And I'll do that with the front cylinder. Okay, front cylinder head. This helps if you put it the right way. It's backwards. All I'm doing is lining up these studs that are here. There you go. Same thing with these. Oil inside the thread and the shoulder. Both of these. Okay, I'll do the ones on the other side, and then we'll torque these down in stages. Okay, now these need to be torqued on sequence, in sequence, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 on the rear cylinder head, and looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 on the back cylinder head. Okay, I'm going to torque these to spec. Okay, now I'll take all these after progressively torquing them, okay, and I'll use this angle gauge, and I will turn them all 90 degrees, okay. Oh, that's going to be real tight down here. Okay, I got to see what I got for sockets here. And since the angle gauge is proving to be more trouble than it's worth, I'm just going to scratch these. I'm going to scratch the head bolts, and then I'll just turn them 90 degrees. Right about there. That should be it. There you go. There we go. Here's one of my new fueling lifters. I've cleaned them. I'm just going to pump them up like this through the oil hole. Okay, and I'm just going to keep squeezing. You'll see the oil starts coming through the middle, and it'll bubble and pop, and then suddenly just straight oil will come out of there. Okay, just like that. I'm going to wipe them off. I'm going to take my assembly lube and give these things a liberal coating. Again, I've already verified these fit nicely in the bores. One difference between an Evo and a twin cam is the twin cam, the lifter blocks are cast into the cylinder. Okay. There we go. Now I'm just going to spin this around until they're all more or less bottomed. Okay, something like that. Okay, now I'm going to put my covers on here. Okay, there's a retainer, gasket, lifter block, whatever you want to call it. These aren't lifter blocks, but that's what I call them because that's what they always were before the twin cam. I got some brand new hardware for this, because the hardware that's on this bike is kind of not in the best of shape. It's getting old. Okay, and I'll torque those down. Longer push rods are for the exhaust. Now we'll put on our rocker supports. Right there. Four bolts. I did the rear one already because that one's hard to film because everything's so tight. And I'll torque these down to 18 foot-pounds. Now I'll slip in our rebuilt breather assemblies. I used Kinetic and James components to rebuild these. The Kinetic gaskets, one of the gaskets was wrong for my application. These are 3/8 bolts, and they tighten down to 144 inch-pounds. These are those bolt holes that you want to clean out or they can crack. Okay guys, well here's where I'm stopping for today. Oil gauge is mounted and I'm waiting. I got another air filter assembly coming. All the cables, wires, everything's clipped back in. So shouldn't take much to get this thing running now. I got to change the oil, put the fuel tank back on, a couple other little things, and should be good to go. Anyhow, guys, I think I'm going to leave you here today. We'll fire this up. Next time you see it will be my guess. Yeah, we're done. I'm happy. Anyhow, friends, thanks for watching. Take her easy. Later.